The United States of America currently has a drug epidemic. It is very prevalent in the city of Seattle, and we feel as though it's being overlooked by the general population. So we want to raise awareness for this issue and provide people with stats and facts about this issue, as well as interview the public and see how they feel about this problem. Here's an example of this affecting our city. In downtown Seattle, there's a cemetery that has been overrun with drug addicts using it as a shoot up center, as well as drug addicts staying there and pitching tents. And then it also becomes a prostitution ring because of all the activities going on. We are now going to be presenting our first interviewee, Austin Williamson. Okay, Austin, have you heard about the drug crisis in America and in Seattle?
I have.
And do you think it's pretty bad?
I think it's really bad right now. I've actually seen some overdose in Seattle.
And do you think anything's being done to help this problem and stop it?
I don't really think there is so far.
And what do you think could be done to help prevent it?
I think a larger penalty for drug use, crack down a little bit harder.
Alright, and are you worried about your generation getting older and the generations below having more of an issue with drugs than the previous generations?
I would say with the way that pop culture has gone, it may influence the youth in later generations.
Okay. Alright, thank you. These statistics are very important because they show how heroin use has increased drastically, as well as overdoses have increased by threefold. And the CDC couples this with a report saying that 500,000 people over the age of 12 have used heroin in the year 2017, which is a very large number, and that number is not even accounting everyone, because everyone that uses heroin doesn't have house, job, or in touch with their family, so it's very difficult to get an exact number. So, how do you feel like drugs have affected mentality? Just opioids specifically?
I think Tahoma High School and Maple Valley are a microcosm of our society. And if drug use is 10%, 15%, drug use is 10%, 15% within our community. And it's horrible because of the addictive nature of drugs. And if you're addicted, you can't get off. And you need to get help, you need to get support. So it has an impact on our students and our parents and on our community for the rest of their lives.
Are you worried about how it's going in the future? Do you think we're improving on the drug crisis right now, or do you think we're...
Oh, I'm absolutely worried. I think the oxycodone epidemic that leads on to a heroin epidemic has dramatically changed our society. Not just in Seattle, but nationwide. The prescription rates of oxycodone have more than quadrupled, and that leads then later to addiction to heroin, which then leads to homelessness. So it's a national crisis that needs to be addressed.
Okay. And are you worried for students at Tahoma High School? Do you think that
they're under my care, so that's where my heart is. And the drug use within our school is always too high, and even if it's one, it's too high. But those students that are addicted and are using hardcore drugs, their futures just don't look bright unless we can get them some help.
And do you think what our state's doing right now to help drug addicts is helping very much, or do you think there's more that could be done?
Absolutely think there more can be done. There was a major lawsuit against Purdue Pharmaceutical that produces the oxycodone, and they lost in the lawsuit because they're putting out oxycodone and so many people are getting addicted to it. So I think there has to be responsibility within the pharmaceutical industry, within the medical industry, and within our community. If we're going to distribute these drugs, we need to have a plan to help people that are addicted.
And how do you think you've been personally affected by
Personally affected, I've taken heroin needles off of students. I've taken oxycodone off of students. I've helped get them into rehab for weeks for 30-day inpatient treatment. I've watched our students die. So it impacts me dramatically.
Thank you.
That you were Romeo, you were
All right, so Gabe, what's your opinion on our drug crisis right now in America and specifically Seattle?
I think Seattle, specifically Seattle, there's a lot of like safe injection sites with heroin. And I think that's a big problem because it contributes to the homeless problem in Seattle and also just makes Seattle nearly an implosion town. So I don't really support the whole drug crisis going on, and we're not really doing a lot to help it.
So, if you think there could be something more done, what would you have done?
I wouldn't necessarily say that an individual can do a lot. I'd say we have to go to like bigger governmental steps. Talk to Governor Inslee, try to pass a law that protects our safety on the streets and provides safety over safe injection sites. Make sure that no one's using heroin. Like more enforcement on heroin, be more strict on drugs, and it I guess makes us all safer.
And so, does opioid crisis, does it worry you about your classmates? They might go down the wrong path.
Yeah, the opioid crisis worries me because I've had a couple surgeries, and those pills they can be like they give you a different feel, and they can be addicting. So you just got to make sure you watch what you're doing. And I think it's a crisis that we don't really look at a whole lot because it's not really classified as a hard drug. So I think that it's important to focus on that and just try to stay away from those.
Okay. Are you worried about our generation's future just growing up in the way that is it going right now with the drug crisis doesn't seem to be getting fixed? Do you think it will eventually get fixed?
Yeah, well, I think we need to be a little more strict, not be as lenient over the drugs. Do something about it. At KFC the other day, I had to deal with some guy shooting up heroin in the parking lot, and I had to kick him out. So, it's just something that we don't really pay attention to, and it's going to have to come down to an individual effort to try to help the person.
Thank you.
Don't wanna be an American idiot. Don't want a nation under the new media.
Okay, Addie, what is your opinion on the current drug crisis in America, specifically in Seattle?
Okay, what I do know is that there is a severe drug problem, especially with opiates and homelessness. And I do know that it is a problem in Seattle because I see it pretty often because I'm there a lot. So.
Do you think that our state is making great strides to improve this problem, or do you think that it's kind of just being left alone and not being fixed?
I do think it is kind of left over because I haven't heard anything about it recently. So.
Okay. Do you have any ideas that you think could help fix this problem?
Honestly, not really. I was just kind of hoping somebody else might fix it.
Okay.
So.
And do you think this is something that you should be worried about going into like the future for our generation and generations below? It's like improve, or the problem will get greater and drug addiction.
I do think that's a problem because the use of like opiates and other drugs has gone up recently, especially with people like in the generation right above us. So I do think so, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Well, she moved down here at the age of 18. She blew the boys away, it was more than they'd seen. I was in
drug offense right now. You don't go to jail. You go get court-mandated treatments or help in those ways.
Okay. Do you personally think that's effective at all?
It's supposed to be more, and I'm not. The people that I see get arrested over and over and over again, they just don't want it. They would prefer the drug over a family, a job, success, and the normal ways people look for success. So if somebody doesn't want it, it doesn't matter what you do, but you gotta give opportunities for them to see.
my